Hit you with another one of them old phenomenal shit.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Undrlvld. My name is Chris. I appreciate you all being here and for the continued support. Just going to get through a few quick things before we carry on with this video because this is probably going to be a long one. We are about 100-ish subscribers away from our third giveaway. That third giveaway being something, probably more games that we're going to be giving out. But yeah, feel free to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, share the channel with people you think might be interested in it. And once we get to, I think it's gonna be 375, then we'll be doing our next giveaway. So looking forward to that. With that being said, let's get right into it because this is gonna be a long one. So this video is going to be on Skyraiders of Abarax. I know I told a few people that I was going to be doing this. I know it's a few weeks late, but better late than never is what I always say, especially when I procrastinate on things. So I'm changing the way that I'm doing this. Originally, I was going to do it based on the source of information. So it was going to be like their streams, their interviews, articles, stuff like that. Instead, I'm gonna be doing 4 videos. I'm still kind of doing that, but just hear me out. So I'm gonna be doing a video on information that's about the world itself, the Skyraiders world itself, specifically Abarax. I'll be doing another video on the Living Tome app that they have. That's a supplement, a way that they're enhancing the game, as well as a video that kind of bundles up everything else, like kind of the random tidbits of information that I think are important for people to know. And lastly, I'll be doing a video on the emails. They have a newsletter that you can sign up for on their Skyraiders website, and they send you sometimes exclusive information, other times it's like drastically expanded information, be it on like the Ethos system or whatnot. I know they said it was like an exclusive thing, so I wanted to make sure to kind of get the go-ahead from Tracy and Hickman in order for me to use that information in a video, and they told me during their last Dragonhearth stream that they okay, you can go ahead and use it. So those are going to be the 4 videos. All the information that is going to be in these videos are from their Dragonhearth streams that you can find on Tracy Hickman's YouTube channel, and links to all their stuff is going to be in the description down below. The Nerd Immersion and Dragon Crawlers interview, and I'll have a link to their stuff down below as well. And of course, as I mentioned previously, the emails that they send out via their newsletters. Those videos, not sure how I'm going to do them because they're like jam-packed with information, so I might just do a video on each email, kind of breaking it down and cross-referencing it to other information that we get from other sources. Not sure yet. Might just bundle it all in together like a TLDR kind of video, but we'll see where that goes. So getting into the information, because I know that's why most people are here. Starting off first, kind of like how Explorer's Guide to Wildmount has their variant Dragonborn, Skyraiders of Abarax is going to do something similar. They're going to have their own variation on the Dragonborn and Halfling. That's all we know of so far. I wouldn't be surprised if they have variations on other things as well. And of course, Joe Manganiello, don't know if I got the last name right, is of course a creative consultant on Skyraiders of Abarax. And since he's the player for Archon the Cruel, who we know has the Hand of Vecna, you know, from Critical Role or whatever, well, he's gonna have plenty of input on the Dragonborn. So I'm very curious to see what their Dragonborn variant is gonna be like, with Joe's input added onto it. Also, we know that ogres are gonna be a playable race in Abarax. still kind of ignorant to Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if Ogre is just a playable race, or if this is more unique to this setting, but you'd be able to play an Ogre. But they did mention in one of their, I believe one of their Dragonhearth streams, that the Ogre is going to be similar to like the Samurai. They see themselves as moral arbiters and almost paladin-like, instructed to maintain what they would consider to be order of the land. So that'll be very interesting to play as one of those, especially since, you know, they're splitting up races, you know, ancestries and cultures. It's gonna be a very interesting read to learn more about the ogres once we get our grubby little hands on the book. So, what areas of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition can we expect Tracy and Laura Hickman to make enhancements to? That's the big thing with this, is that they're going to be enhancing various aspects of 5th edition. Well, let's get into that. Well, for one, we know that they're going to be making change or enhancements to charisma, so that it's more of a reflection of the real world and how it impacts people differently. Alignment is also going to be enhanced to reflect how people actually utilize it in game and reflect the complexity of real people. One way of them enhancing alignment is going to be through their Ethos system. And if you saw the previous Skyraiders video that I made, I kind of gave like a read-through of the Ethos system, and one of their emails has a lot of information on the Ethos system. So there's going to be plenty more videos on Ethos system to come. But of course, what's the TLDR right now of the Ethos system? Well, Ethos, I totally didn't have to look this up, but in case people don't know, Ethos is a Greek word meaning character that is used to describe the guiding beliefs or ideals that characterize a community, nation, or ideology. I totally knew that. The idea is that evil is how we describe others. We understand ourselves perfectly and are justified in our actions based on our own ethos. Now, cultural and personal ethos are always in conflict within the character. Cultural ethos being what is gained from where you were raised. This gives you a value set that works in that community that you were raised in. Personal ethos is kind of like your moral compass. You know, that gut feeling, like kind of when you know when something's right or wrong to do. That would fall more along the lines of personal ethos. Now, lawful, neutral, and chaotic are still going to be present in this ethos, ethos alignment system that they got going on. But instead of good and evil, you're going to have inclusive and exclusive. Inclusive is like your willingness to consider other people's points of view as opposed to your own. Exclusive, the opposite. You have your central core knowledge against which, judge everything else. You're the opposite of inclusive. Now, instead of race, or in addition to race, I think it's instead of race, you're gonna have ancestries and cultures. Cultures, from what I understand, they might actually split up culture in itself to sociable and familial influences, but for right now, it's just ancestries and cultures. So you have things like strength and dexterity would fall under ancestry, intelligence and wisdom would fall under culture, and all of this is just to provide more variety in character creation. Now you're also going to have professions and sub-professions. That's going to go right along with classes to provide even more character customization. So you're probably going to need... It's a good thing that they're giving you like their custom character sheets, because you're probably going to need a lot more room to put stuff in. Now, an example of a profession that they're going to be introducing is the Harpist. The Harpist is someone who works directly with the Sylph engine of an arrow ship. Now, that the arrow ship in itself can be its own video. It has its own complexity to it, but to dumb it down, mainly for me, this profession is essentially based off the sounds the Sylph engine makes. The Harpist manipulates various ropes that control different functions of the arrow ship. So, a musician, so to speak, but via the arrow ship. Which, if you're watching their Dragonhearth stream, again, I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. Their latest episode, I believe episode 16, having a brain fart right now, has a lot to do with the Harpist. Me and fellow viewer Deja Vu, we have our own theories about like what's going on with the almost cult-like organization that the heroes are involved with right now, but I'm not going to get too into that. Just know that it is an important role on the arrow ship. Now, other interesting things I noticed in Dragonhearth episode 13, someone had to make a dexterity check, and they rolled with a negative on that roll instead of disadvantage. Now, it might just be my own personal experience, which is very limited in Dungeons & Dragons, but I'm pretty much used to just it always being you have advantage or disadvantage, not like, oh, you know, you can make this roll but you have a -5 to it. So I don't know if it's like a rule or a variant rule or like a common homebrew that people do, but I assume that it might allude to how they're going to be doing things and building things in Abarax. So I found that to be very interesting. Also interesting is the sample adventure they're going to be making. They're going to make sure that it's not completely linear. It's going to branch off, and the player's actions and decisions and everything are going to influence what direction the DM can lead them in throughout the adventure. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to work out, and I'm also curious to see if maybe like the playtest they're doing on Dragonhearth, like how related that adventure is going to be to the sample adventure. I personally, from what I've seen in all the Skyraiders Dragonhearth episodes so far, I think that would make for a very interesting adventure. So I'm curious to see what those relate. Now, as mentioned in my other Skyraiders video, originally our introduction to this world was going to be via an AR compatible board game. Now, numerous times they've stated that the idea of a AR compatible game, like, you know, novels, everything is still being considered. Nothing's been left behind. Like they're definitely in this for the long haul. So you can expect a lot of support and a lot of development around this world, like this, and around Skyraiders. Like this, we're definitely going to get more than just these supplements. Me personally, bring it on. Bring on the Kickstarters. You know, maybe give us a few months to breathe a little bit before the next Kickstarter after you release these supplements. But keep it coming. This has been really fun to see develop. And they also mentioned in the last Dragonhearth episode that they're working on ways for us to kind of keep tabs on the development of Skyraiders. So keep going. This is very community friendly. Like they're very much trying to keep us in the loop on everything, which a lot of Kickstarters definitely don't. Now, Tracy and Laura Hickman also mentioned that we're not going to need any of the 5th edition books to play in Skyraiders of Abarax. Everything that you need is going to be provided within the Skyraiders books via, like, you know, the open game license and like the standard rules that you can get for free. So you're not going to have to spend any more money to play in Skyraiders. So this will, from the sounds of it, definitely be a good stepping off point for new players who haven't played Dungeons and Dragons at all, or who just haven't played 5th edition at all. I know I'll definitely be trying to run at least a short adventure in this world, especially if it's more accessible to newer players. And also, something I am very fascinated with, despite not reaching their Kickstarter, the Kickstarter goal for this, they did unlock a new section of the book for us. It was originally going to be a stretch goal, and we didn't make it, but you know, they really wanted to do it. So they're going to be giving us the Ancient World. It's a GM section that it's going to reveal, as they said, in legendary form, the world that once was. And I know currently with the sky ships no longer going to Abarax, I believe, for like 200 or 300 years, any and all idea of the world outside the island of Abarax is just myth. So I am very curious to see, you know, through playing these adventures, you know, what the world is like right now. But I am extremely interested to see what it was once like. So, more stuff. I know I'm getting the GM book, and hopefully get the money to get the player book. I'm eventually going to get everything. But I'm very interested to see what the world was like. Also, we need to keep in mind that everything is still being developed. Everything is still being considered, tweaked, changed, added. Everything is still kind of up in the air. Remember, this book isn't set to be released until like the end of next year. So we just got to keep that. We got to keep that in mind. Kind of like how originally it was like, you know, ancestries and cultures, and then they brought up how they're considering dividing cultures as well. So things are going to be changing. Now, me personally, I'm really hoping that they add like a subclass or something into the book. I know they didn't mention anything like that, and I don't think anyone's brought it up to them, because I mean, I feel like they would have, you know, said it in their Kickstarter if they were going to do it. But I hope they consider doing it. I would be fascinated to see what they would come up with for a class. I mean, I know class, that's a lot, because you gotta have a class and multiple subclasses, but at the very least, I hope they consider making a subclass for the book, because I think that would be awesome. Maybe like a artificer subclass that's kind of themed around arrow ships or something. I don't know what, but I think it would be really cool to see what they could come up with for a subclass. Now, also, I did ask through one of their their final Kickstarter stream that they did. I did ask Tracy and Laura Hickman some questions, like some fun ones, some more informative ones, and they did take the time to answer them. So I'm gonna play those clips really quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and close out the video.
Undrlvld just has to know what we think about
pineapple belongs on pizza. I have to tell you, this man, when he was, I don't know, 17, 18, brought me a pizza. And it was a ham and pineapple pizza.
Hey, I cooked you this pizza.
He did.
I didn't just bring you the pizza.
He didn't just bring the pizza. He actually made it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my first experience with pineapple on pizza
was from a Chef Boyardee's box, but don't tell.
Oh, no, after all these years.
I know. You married me anyway, so.
So there you go. Pineapple on pizza, yes, apparently, yes.
Undrlvld.
Undrlvld.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Asked a really interesting question about the world.
Please.
And it says, if you can speak on it, in modern-day Abarax, did the keepers and their families that were left on the island after the fall fully integrate with the inmates that were on the island? And this is an interesting question.
Yeah. It is an interesting question.
The answer is yes and no. There were some keepers, of course, who were very cruel and abusive to the prisoners. They probably didn't make it past the first blush of the uprising. The families that have existed and made it down through the last several hundred years absolutely did manage to integrate, because they had been the ones that opened the prison doors, the ones that allowed the prisoners their freedom, and had been reasonable within the prison world to the people that they were caring for. And those prisoners,
those that did not survive.
Did not survive.
Yeah.
And so absolutely they have mostly integrated. I doubt there are any holdouts at this point.
Well, they've integrated, but that's not to say that there still isn't division.
Sure. There's a lot of little factions on this island.
Yeah. All of them think of themselves as being a lot bigger than they really are. And
because this is their own little world here, and
yeah.
have no real idea about the world outside of it all.
Yeah, and that's and so while their conflicts here on the island, in terms of the problems of the greater world and the forces in the greater world, are really tempest in a teapot kinds of things. They don't know that. This is their entire world.
Sure.
And so, you know, whether one city-state has authority over another city-state is a big deal to them.
Keeping the peace between all the different factions, a big deal.
Is a big deal to them, and a very difficult problem for them, because the scramble for resources here continues.
Sure, and it's a big island, but...
It is a big island,
but different factions are kind of sectioned off parts of the island, so you have to deal with them if you want to get certain things.
Well, in the western section of the island is dangerous.
Is an unknown.
Is an unknown. Which is also another area.
Even though they would like to push back the frontier, it's been really difficult to do so.
Yeah, Svarta on the western side of the mountain range is about as deep penetration into the rest of the island as they have managed, and even that is very difficult for them.
It says, Undrlvld says, I did a video analyzing the few pages of the book from the Kickstarter video you guys made, so I'm dying to get that answer. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you can tell we've been like thinking about it. We think these people are starting to become very real to us.
Yes, very, very real to us. And I just want you to know, Undrlvld, that we knew you were out there before we even began this campaign. And we knew that if we were going to put pages in our video, that they better mean something.
Something that people would actually look at them really hard. Actually, it's interesting. Tracy's father used to teach television production on a university level. And he always told us, if anything can be read on camera, you know, or video, it will be. And this is something we've known like for a long time. That if you don't want it read, don't put it out there.
That's right. That's right.
This last question, I'll stop bothering you on. This section about Haven, you have listed wood dwarf. Is that based off their profession, or is that a subrace or dwarf? Of dwarf. It's profession?
Well, it is actually, well.
It's not a sub anything.
The thing is that there are some terms that we're kind of enhancing in our world, and so
these dwarves understand wood, unlike their cousins, which would be in a mine.
You might think of them as sub-races of dwarves, but in fact we would think of them actually as a diverse ancestry of dwarves. And so it actually has a lot to do with the division of ancestry and culture within this world, which is very exciting for us because it gives players much better options in terms of building their characters. So yes, we do have, there are different kinds of dwarves, different ancestries of dwarves in this world,
and different traditions
and different traditions that they would have.
You know, or culture, traditions or culture.
Yeah,
you would think of, and
honestly, see, look at that, pretty cool, right? I highly encourage all of you, like, you know, this isn't like your typical Dungeons and Dragons stream that you jump onto on like Twitch or YouTube or whatever. At least the ones that I've been on. I encourage you, if you are interested, go check out their Dragonhearth stream. Like, they answer questions. Like, while they're playing, you know, Tracy is kind of like the primary DM, and Laura is like, you know, the secondary DM. Like, she jumps in and plays an important role and does her thing too, but she also likes to spend time in the chat chatting with people and answering questions and whatnot. So it's a fun time. You know, you'll definitely catch, you know, people like me and my homie Deja Vu in the chat. Everyone is very welcoming. It's a fun time. Good Dungeons and Dragons, and yeah, I highly encourage people to go check that out. Now, the next video that I'm gonna be making in this series of Skyraiders videos is going to be on the Living Tome system, at least what we know about it so far. It might be a little bit shorter than this. Actually, looking at the time right now, this video is a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that video. So we did one. We got about like 3 more coming down the pipeline at least. I might, you know, like I said, I might make separate videos for each email of their newsletter, because I mean, it's stacked. If you haven't already, go to the Skyraiders website and sign up for the newsletter, because those newsletters are like jam-packed with information. But with that being said, that's gonna wrap up this video. I appreciate all of you taking the time to watch this. I'm excited for Skyraiders, and if you are too, be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Like, what are you excited about? Let's talk about Skyraiders, because this is gonna, I feel like this is gonna be the next big thing, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see what all of you have to say about that. So have yourselves a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one.